Fam, what's going on? Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. This is my reaction video to Jaylen Mbakwe staying with the University of Alabama. I think when you look at the prospects that have hit the transfer portal so far, look, you could argue that there hasn't been one guy that you felt that was going to be a major loss in 2025. And that's no disrespect to any of the players that have hit the transfer portal. I just feel that looking at Alabama's roster management, I feel that they're in good position, along with the guys who have just signed in the class of 2025. That all changed when Jaylen Mbakwe, I guess, went into the transfer portal for less than 6 hours or whatever it was. And the thing about Jaylen Mbakwe is, while he isn't a starter right now on the defensive side of the ball, I think he screams NFL talent. He's an in-state guy. He's best friends with Ryan Williams. And if you know anything about his overall playmaking ability, he is that guy. And I think that it was pretty instrumental that Ryan Williams clearly made noise to get Jaylen Mbakwe either taken care of. Like, what we don't know is if Alabama matched. We don't know that. But we do know that it was important to Ryan Williams to make sure that Jaylen Mbakwe stays at the University of Alabama. And I think that says a lot about the young freshman. I mean, here's a guy that clearly doesn't want to lose his best friend, but I think also on the football field knows what Jaylen Mbakwe is capable of. Now, this year you had Damani Jackson and you have Xavier Brown at the corner position. I've heard talks that, maybe Jaylen Mbakwe wants to play on the offensive side of the ball. Look, if you know anything about Jaylen Mbakwe, I mean, the guy is a fantastic athlete. I mean, this is a 10-4 guy in the 100 meters, a guy who jumped 17.5 in the long jump, 21.5 in the 200. So the guy is absolutely electric. Keeping Jaylen Mbakwe solidifies that freshman class. And I think you can look at it a bunch of different ways, but I look at it as a celebration in terms of Kalen DeBoer, Courtney Morgan, Alabama overall, not letting a critical piece leave. And I think if Jaylen Mbakwe is able to get, taken from, it seemed like Ole Miss, I guess, because of the recruiting coordinator. I don't even know if that was true. It seemed like that was maybe a destination. Whatever the case is, the university came together and they made sure that they didn't want to lose Jaylen Mbakwe, which clearly tells you what they think about him in the long term. Now, when you look to the guys who have left, you currently have 14 in the portal. There's been a couple guys that have made announcements as of late. Kobe Prentice going to Baylor. You have Naquil Bentre going to Syracuse, Keanu Coate, Jalil Hurley, Devontae Smith. Those guys have made commitments to go to those universities, and we've been continuing to track this all transfer portal season. And here's kind of a larger view of where these guys are going and some notes with some of these guys. But as you can see right here, and again, no disrespect to any of these guys on the list, I think they'll all find spots for their skill set. I think maybe Caleb Odom, as I expressed, just because he's a freshman, I felt he has a high ceiling. I wish he would have stayed just to kind of see what this wide receiver room could look like if, and if and when they have a quarterback that can come and operate the offense under Coach Kalen DeBoer like they will in 2025, right? Whether that's Austin Mack, Ty Simpson, Keelan Russell, whatever. So what I did was I started thinking about this wide receiver room as of today, December 17th, and I was like, man, you know what? Jeremy Bernard, he's obviously here, but the wide receiver room is pretty banged up. Now, I have no idea if this is going to happen, and I'm sure as we get closer to bowl season and these guys start to actually practice, whether that's tomorrow on Wednesday or whenever they get to Tampa, we're going to be interested to see if Jaylen Mbakwe is repping with the wide receivers. And look, put your hand over Jaylen Mbakwe. You only have Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Rico Scott, Jaron Hamilton, and Amari Jefferson that are the wide receivers, right? I mean, it's a pretty banged up room in Latair Brooks and Derek Meadows. Those guys are not here yet. So maybe Jaylen Mbakwe, you see him on the offensive side of the ball. Have you seen that out there? Do you think that he's going to play wide receiver for the Alabama Crimson Tide? And what does that mean for the overall room going into 2025? If he's a wide receiver, which he can clearly be, and you have Ryan Williams, and let's say even Jeremy Bernard leaves, okay, well, those are the guys. You also have Jalen Hell, Bubba Hampton, who will eventually be healthy, Jaron Hamilton, Rico Scott, and we're all watching Isaiah Horton, who's been predicted to go from Miami to Alabama. I think that would be a massive addition because you have a lengthier top wide receiver. But does that kind of tell us that if Jaylen Mbakwe is really going to play wide receiver, does that mean that Alabama is not getting KC Concepcion? Does it mean that Alabama is not getting some other wide receivers they've been targeting? Or do you think they kind of just load up? I mean, clearly they need depth at this position. So curious to hear from you inside the comment box. And out of this group right here, outside of Jaylen and clearly Ryan, are there any other wide receivers that you're interested to see develop going forward? I mean, Latsier Brooks, from what we hear, is absolutely a game changer. And then I think we're all anticipating Jalen Hell doing something, monumental when he does get healthy. So I just put him there in the room, and who knows, maybe he plays against Michigan. That would be pretty cool to see Jaylen Mbakwe on the offensive side of the ball. Realistically, I think when you look to the corners, Jaylen Mbakwe is so versatile. I wonder if he could play the Husky position. Let's just say Damani decides to come back. And really, besides Parker Brailsford, we don't know who else is coming back yet. These guys haven't made, announcements to go to the NFL. I think Damani Jackson, as we've spoken about many times, he could go to the NFL, or he could come back for 2025. You have him, Xavier Brown. Maybe you put Jaylen Mbakwe at Husky. I don't know. I've also heard things from sources that say that Jaylen Mbakwe wants to be a starter at corner. So there's that. What do you think is going to happen in terms of Alabama's defense overall? I think when you look to this defensive secondary, I'm excited about the secondary. And despite Devontae Smith hitting the portal and going to Notre Dame, and depending on the development of Red Morgan, you have your corners, you have your safeties, and Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard. I like this room. And you have Jaylen Mbakwe, right, who can be a corner, a wide receiver, punt returner, even Dejon Lee. I'm really excited about this 6'3", 6'4" corner coming in, and curious to see what Chuck McDonald brings to the table as well. A couple of the notes that we want to hit on as we continue to track the transfer portal is players that Alabama is targeting from the transfer portal. And I think a good place to start here is with Nikhil Hill-Green, who is visiting out of Colorado. Now, he's been a couple different places. He was at Charlotte for one season. He was at Michigan for 3 seasons. And I think that's where you see the connection with Courtney Morgan, right? 82 tackles this past season. 11 and a half tackles for loss. You're talking about a really good inside linebacker. On the right, under notes, the red indicates a new visitor that has kind of popped up. So Nikhil Hill-Green is someone to certainly watch this week. You also have a Utah corner coming in Cameron Calhoun, who'll be visiting. He's 6 foot, 177 pounds, a defensive back. He had 21 tackles and nearly 400 snaps this past season. You have a couple other offensive linemen that Alabama is looking at. But again, I haven't seen one offensive lineman that I felt was like a monumental piece to add to the equation. Maybe I'm wrong, but you do have Cam Dewberry out of Texas A&M, and then another offensive lineman out of Washington. So Khalid Tiffy, that's who we're watching as well. I'm sure you saw also today the Branch brothers, most notably Zachariah Branch at the transfer portal. Would Alabama fans love to get him? Of course. I mean, this is one of the most electrifying players in all of college football. But maybe you did get a wide receiver today in Jaylen Mbakwe. I don't know. As news happens, we got you posted. I don't know if Alabama matched. I don't know if they're going to get him more playing time. But what we do know is that he is staying. And I think it's a big win for Alabama football. And I want to hear from you inside the comment box. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about Jaylen Mbakwe staying with the University of Alabama? Sound off inside the comment box. As news happens, we got you covered right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thanks for watching.